Boom! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Wednesday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a beer from a brand new brewery that I've never tried before, which is always really exciting. And of course, a lot of the beers that I've reviewed from the the beers that I got from a buddy of mine, the Real Beer Snob on Instagram, have been from breweries that I've never tried before. So that's always really, really exciting. Today we got one here from a brewery down in Old Town Spring, Texas, called Excalibur Brewing Co. Today we're going to be looking at one of their variations of their Young Arthur Russian Imperial Stout. And I just think that's really cool. I guess the first variation of the Young Arthur was a little bit lighter. Definitely, I would say around like a 5-8% ABV, but they decided to do a second variant of it to make it a little bit more bold and just having a lot more of those coffee, bitter kind of notes coming through. Of course, notes of dark chocolate. Just a very, very more bolder Russian Imperial Stout, like, in my opinion, Russian Imperial Stout should be. So I'm pretty damn excited to give this one a try. They're definitely, I don't want to say not for the faint of heart, there's definitely a nice difference between like your normal like kind of pastry / milk stout to a Russian Imperial Stout. Of course, Russian Imperial Stouts are going to let those smoky malts kind of speak through a little bit more. There's definitely going to be a little bit more of a bitter kind of note to it. Definitely drier, and say the mouthfeel's not going to be as like creamy and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty damn excited to give this one a try because can art looks pretty cool, I think. Even though it's a little bit simple, but I kind of get the theme they're going with it being like an old English kind of feel to it, almost having the label look like a parchment kind of situation, having like this reminds me of Dungeons and Dragons, looking at this guy on the bottom, but having that, I really like their logo. The logo is really clean, having Excalibur and the anvil and everything, so that's just really cool. Definitely something that I would consider really classy as well. So, and this guy comes out to an 11.3% ABV, so definitely would not consider this beer sessionable one bit. So I'm excited to give this thing a try. So let's crack it open and see what we get on the nose. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely lets those like almost like darker kind of smoky malts kind of speak through a little bit more. Definitely getting a little bit of a smoky note on the nose. Yeah, that smells nice. It's definitely, I really doubt it's going to be a light one. It's definitely going to have like a heavier mouthfeel, but I'm thinking it might be a little bit more effervescent, like a little more bubbly mouthfeel, but still very, very heavy. I'm thinking there's not really going to be a crazy amount of syrupiness from it, but this just smells roasty, toasty goodness right here. So I'm going to be drinking this out of my Riverlands, a little tulip glass this afternoon. Let's pour this guy and see what this thing's all about. Oh yeah. Not really much carbonation coming through it, which is actually really surprising. So barely any head on this guy. Look at that. As black as my soul, which is a nice how Russian Imperial Stout should be. Yeah, definitely you'll be getting a little bit more notes of dark chocolate now. Still kind of like really roasty and coffee forward. Definitely getting those smoked kind of malts that they add in there. The roasted malts that you add into a stout are definitely speaking a lot. But yeah, it smells pretty damn solid. So let's give this thing a try and see what it's all about. So, cheers everybody. Happy Wednesday. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is definitely a strong one. So, I wouldn't say strongness in booziness, but this strongness in like there's almost definitely a very, very predominant bitterness to this one, like a Russian Imperial Stout should. Roasty, dark chocolate, very, very strong with notes of like bitter coffee kind of situation, but not in a bad way. It's not like an overbearing kind of bitterness, even though this is a Russian Imperial Stout with a very, very high IBU rating, which is very, I guess you could say this is probably a good like range for an IBU rating for this kind of Russian Imperial Stout. But yeah, I think this is pretty damn tasty. I am definitely enjoying this one. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. So what I get from it, it's not really like a boozy kind of booziness coming through, but you could definitely tell it's stronger. So, but overall, yeah, flavors are pretty damn solid on this one for sure. Definitely more of a bubbly, kind of like a little bit of a thinner kind of mouthfeel. Very, very predominant on the bitterness, like very, very strong bitter coffee. Of course, dark chocolate coming through as well. And then, yeah, I don't want to say it's, I'm curious of what this is going to taste like when you start going down to the room temperature kind of realm with this thing, because a lot of those bitter notes are going to start coming through a little bit more. I can see this pairing well with a really, really nice like sweet dessert. So let's look over here at Untapped and see what they show as a similar beer to this one, because this is going to be interesting, because I have no idea, because a lot of these ones are showing up are the same ones that I've seen in a couple different like smaller breweries when it comes to the similar beers list. And finding a Russian Imperial Stout with this high of an IBU plus having this much like a hoppy bitterness to it almost is going to be difficult. So I've mentioned this one before from Emperor's Brewery, which is out of, I think they're out of the UK. Oh yes, they're in I'm not even going to try to say that, but they're in England. And this is their Emperor's Black Heart. Sure, that may be pretty close, I think. What's the ABV on that one? 13.7. Yeah, it's going to be pretty close, I would say. Let's see. We got one here from Bluewood Brewing, which is called the Beheading Leviathan, which is their La Peña coffee and Mexican vanilla bean Russian Imperial, which is a holy 22% ABV. Never mind, not choosing that one. And then we got one here from The Answer, which is their Eon Wales Andal, which is an Imperial Stout aged in unicorn tier with a virgin coconut from Virgin Islands, special maple syrup from Huggy Bear Cave, and a special rare coffee bean from AA Run Basement. I like that one. They made that one kind of sound like a joke, but to be honest, on the ones that are on the similar beers list, well, there's one more here. We got one here from Atmosphere Brewery, which is a Russian Imperial, but this one's a 15%. Atmosphere is located in Russia, so we're not going to really see a lot of people in the U.S. be able to get their hands on this one. So it's going to be tough to try to find a similar beer to this one because there are a bunch of breweries out there that do make Russian Imperial Stouts. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think a lot of them will be making something like this to where it's going to be this much high on the IBU rating where you're still getting a lot of bitterness coming through. Not really going to be any sweetness to this one whatsoever. I'm not really getting a lot of sweetness because I think the dark chocolate is just bringing a little bit of chocolatey notes, but it's still letting that predominant bitter flavor come through and not really give you any like almost sweet decadence to it. But overall, yeah, I think this is pretty damn solid. Definitely not for the faint of heart, I would say. This is definitely a sipping one, but holy crap, that like roasty, toasty, just almost very, very dry bitterness just hits you in the face. And I like that kind of thing. Maybe I would have liked it if it was a little bit less bitter. Maybe having a little bit of that dark chocolate flavor kind of speak a little bit more, maybe a little bit more of a specific grain. Or maybe maybe they possibly use cacao nibs in this one, I'm assuming, because sometimes if you add the husks in there as well, it still brings off a little bit of sweetness. So if you're adding cacao nibs, I would suggest maybe next time doing this, add a little bit of the husks as well, get a little bit of sweetness from the husks. But overall, it's still pretty damn solid. So trying to find a similar beer to this one, I don't know if I can name one, just because I don't think I've ever had a Russian Imperial that had this high of like an IBU / bitterness to it. So you might just have to look around, see if anything near you when it comes to your local liquor store, bottle shops, kind of carry thing when it comes to Russian Imperial Stouts. And just kind of experiment, because it's definitely a unique style of stout, just because I think a very, very common style within the U.S. when it comes to stouts is having like a milk stout or something a little bit more sweet. Everything like that, having a little bit more decadence to it. I mean, you can have stuff like a Guinness or something where it's definitely a drier stout as well, but that's like an Irish dry kind of stout. But this one is just dryness is coming from. Okay, so the Bell's Expedition Stout might be a good one. So maybe I don't think I've ever had that one face me, but yeah, other than that, this one's pretty damn good. I like it. I definitely like it. This is a slow sipper though. I don't know if I'd have more than one of these. I think I'm happy with just having the one. I don't know. For me, Russian Imperial Stout, I like it lowered down a little bit more in the bitterness, kind of having those. Even still, you're going to get drier flavors coming through, like it's going to leave your mouth a little bit dry afterwards. I want a little bit more notes of like a little bit less of a bitter coffee, plus maybe a little bit more notes of dark chocolate, and then just kind of having the grain kind of maltiness a little bit, add a little bit of sweetness in there as well. But overall, this one's pretty damn good. So let's see here. I don't think there's anybody on my friends list who checked this one in. Doesn't look like there is. But before we go into the global ratings and everything like that, let's see what they show as a description at this guy. So what they say, it's a revamp of our Russian Imperial Stout, bolder, bigger, and more arrogant young Arthur. But it's a little bit different on the can. So it states here on the can that arrogant and bold as the teenage king whose name it carries, with notes of coffee, dark chocolate, and roasted malts. Let's see. And they just kind of it's pretty much all they have as a description on there. So roasted malts, coffee, dark chocolate are the predominant flavors that they're saying you're going to get. And I think that is exactly what you're getting with that one. It's straight to the point. Not really anything extraordinary when it comes to groundbreaking. When it comes to changing something to a Russian Imperial Stout. I think they just made a very nice, solid Russian Imperial Stout. So let's look here at the global rating. So like I stated before, it's 11.3%, but on Untapped it states it's 11.32%, which you round it out to an 11.3. And the IBU rating on this one, this is definitely where I'm getting a lot of the bitterness coming from it. It's 115 IBUs. So very, very high on the IBUs when it comes to a Russian Imperial. And with over 101 ratings, this one has an average rating of 4.06 out of 5, which isn't bad. Definitely not bad. So, of course, I stated that there's no one of my friends who's checked this one in. But let's look at the global rating and see what other people had to say about this one. So, this guy checked it in, purchased it at Excalibur Brewing. Let's see. This guy gave it a 4.25. Looks like it's in a crowler almost kind of situation where they just have where they wrote on the label. So I'm wondering if maybe this is they ran out of their to-go stuff, so they just filled it right there. That possibly could have been it. What else we got here? We got another 4.25. We got a 3.25 here. Looks like this guy got it in a flight. I like how they on the flight list they say choose your weapon, so I think that's pretty cool. What else we got? We got a full 5 out of 5. Let's see. We got a 4.5, 4, 4. This guy looks like he's over at Excalibur Brewing, and that's pretty cool. Where right above all the taps, they have like a sword hanging up there. Of course, their logo is on like some kind of metal plaque on the side, and then you have all the TVs showing the untapped check-ins and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else we got here. We got another 4 out of 5 purchased at Excalibur. 4.5, 4.5. Let's see. We got a 4 out of 5 purchased at Excalibur. 4. Okay, this one's definitely interesting. So what he said on this one, he got out of a taster, and he said so far the stouts suck. So I'm curious why he thinks these suck. I don't know. That's interesting. Let's see. This guy gave it a 3 out of 5. Let's do 2 more. We got a 3.25, and the last one we're gonna look at here is a 4.5 out of 5 purchased at Excalibur Brewing. So it looks like most of the stuff that I'm seeing is stuff only available at Excalibur. So I feel like they're the kind of brewery that only does like cans to go at the brewery. Some breweries do that. Of course, they might have crowlers and growlers and all that kind of stuff available as well. But yeah, it looks like the brewery is going to be the only place you could pick the stuff up. So if you're ever down in where is it, Old Town Spring, Texas, Excalibur might be a place you might want to go visit, because it might be a cool little spot. I think it looks pretty cool, and I would definitely like to try some of the other beers they have over there. But let's look at Excalibur Brewing's website and let's see what they have available on tap over at the place right now. So let's see. So on their beer at the tap room, let's see. They got American Pale. Let's see. They got a blonde, a sour, fruited, like a sour goes. Oh, goes with sea salt, coriander, and smoked wheat. Oak smoked wheat. That's interesting. They got a Scotch ale, aka a wee heavy. Let's see, a nice American IPA. So they have a barrel aged Arthur's Ashes, which is like an Imperial Stout. Let's see, a barrel aged Belgian Triple. They have a Young Arthur V3, which I wonder what that one's all about. Some barley wines, some Irish Reds. So they definitely like playing around with the heavier beers, and then you kind of go down a little bit. They got some hard seltzers for the gluten-free people. But let's see what they have on their to-go option. Maybe this one is available to go over there. Of course, you got some of their IPAs, some Imperial Stouts, the Wee Willies, barley wine, Belgian Triple, Irish Red. They have a couple Irish Reds. 3 Irish Reds available over there, so that's pretty cool. Then they got some fruited sours available to go. What else? Of course, they got a half out, which is Hefeweizens are definitely getting into the season. We just brewed a Hefeweizen yesterday. But yeah, they have a couple of different varieties. It doesn't look like... Okay, so the only one that you're going to find of the Young Arthur is going to be the Young Arthur V3, which I wonder what some of the slight modifications are that they did. I don't know if I'm drinking the V2 or the V3, but I'm thinking their ABV is going to be close, and I don't think the changes are going to be that much of like a predominant difference to where it's going to taste like a different beer completely. So I think I'm drinking the V2 just because I'm most likely thinking the Young Arthur V3 is something they recently came out with, another batch of it. But overall, yeah, I think this beer is pretty solid. I don't know if it'd be my go-to Russian Imperial style, to be completely honest, but overall, I think it's pretty damn good. So let's see here. With all that being said, let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for ratings over here on Arn with this guy. So I think I poured a little bit more in there already. Let's do just a slight bit more. Let's take another sip. Yeah, that freaking like hoppy freaking bitter coffee note in this one is just crazy. But overall, I think exactly what they wanted to do is exactly what they got. Of course, maybe, like I said before, if they would have possibly looking to get chocolate flavors in this one, I think maybe if they didn't use cacao husks in there, I would highly recommend on the next batch adding a little bit of cacao husks in there if they use cacao nibs. Because a lot of if you're only using nibs, it's definitely going to bring in more of a bitter kind of chocolate flavor. When you're using husks and nibs, then the husks actually help bring in a little bit of a sweeter kind of chocolate note. So I think adding the husks in there might actually balance out the bitter notes of this. Maybe add a little bit less extra hops in this one when you're doing it for the bittering part of it. Because I understand what they're trying to go through. I understand that Russian Imperial Stouts are supposed to have a more predominant bitterness to this one. But it's getting pretty close. It's on that edge of almost teetering to be almost too bitter. So, but overall, I think they still did a pretty good job with this one. I would just like to see a little bit of different changes to it to make it even that much better. So it is what it is. But let's see here. First thing I like to look at is can art. And of course, like I said in the beginning, the can art I really, really like. I like their logo. I like how it's almost done like an old parchment kind of thing with the label. I like how the King Arthur almost looks like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of character. So, yeah, I'll give it a solid 3.75 out of 5. I like it. Their logo is probably my favorite thing when it comes to just everything about this brewery, having the Excalibur sticking out of the anvil, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's really, really cool. So, flavors in this one, solid. Not my favorite, but overall pretty damn good. And of course, they definitely, when it comes to taking up like real estate on the can, yeah, I think they could have done a little bit better. They definitely put stuff on here, maybe making the font a little bit bigger when it comes to some other places. Of course, maybe having a little bit more stuff when it comes to the King Arthur side. I think they could have made him a little bit better. I love the detail in him. The detail in the King Arthur part of it is pretty damn cool. But I think maybe they could have had it to where he was fighting somebody like a sword fight with another knight, maybe have to fill up real estate. I don't know, but overall I think there's a little bit too much empty space when it comes to just like on these sides right there, and then. But I like seeing people fully take up their can art when it comes to how they market the beer. But I think the marketing on this one's still pretty solid. So 3.75 out of 5 for can art for me. So let's see here. If I went over to Excalibur Brewing Company and got this beer in a flight, would I get another one? I'll be honest, probably wouldn't. I like it enough. I'd be okay with just having a flight glass of this, but I probably wouldn't get like a full on. Like, this most likely would be a 10-ounce pour, so most likely I wouldn't get a 10-ounce pour of this after that. But overall, I still think it's pretty damn good. Just wouldn't be a go-to style of Russian Imperial Stout for me. I mean, I like a little bit more balance. I don't like it as bitter as this one is. But overall, I think they still did a pretty damn good job with this one. There's just, like I said, there's a few things that I would change to this one that could probably make this into a little bit of a better beer. So, with all that being said, what is my final rating going to be on this guy? Let's see. I'm going to give this a solid 7 out of 10. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. 7 out of 10. Still pretty good. If you like highly bitter Russian Imperial Stouts, this is definitely going to be the one for you. Just because I think out of all the Russian Imperial Stouts that I've ever had, I think this is definitely one of the top bitter ones. When it comes to just having those roasted, bitter coffee flavors, definitely bitterness when it comes to the dark chocolate flavors as well. It just has a very, very, very strong predominant bitterness to the one. So if you're a fan of that, this might be the beer for you. So if you're in Old Town Spring, Texas, and want to visit over Excalibur and try this young Arthur for yourself, go ahead and do so. I think if it's something you're into, you might really, really like it. But overall, it's good. I just don't think this specific way of making a Russian Imperial Stout is for me, even though I still think it's a pretty damn good beer. So overall, yeah, not bad. 7 out of 10, I think, is where I'm going to leave it with this one. But other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you, everybody in chat, for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live to another review. I am off for the rest of the week, so prepare for reviews to be coming out every day this week. So we were able to get everything we need to get done at the brewery, so now we're just waiting until Monday before we have to do another brew day. So you'll be getting a lot more reviews from me this week. So keep an eye on that. Of course, you could check out my Instagram, where you'll see the first kind of place to see what I'm be reviewing that day. You'll see the hand checks. Plus, you'll see a little bit of stuff behind the scenes of what I'm doing over at Fibs. So you can check me out over there. Of course, Instagram page, shoot me a follow. You'll see everything up. Let's see what else we got here. Of course, you could always shoot me a friend request on Untappd as well. You guys hear me talk about Untappd all the time. It's a fantastic platform. I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers, because that's pretty much what it is. You can check in beers, get badges, all that kind of stuff. It's just really cool. And then last but not least, if I talk to you guys about the best way to support me besides just going over to my social media and all that kind of stuff, shoot me friend requests and follows and everything, I'm always going to recommend you guys to head over to the Patreon. It's a really fun time over there. It's going to be the best way for you guys to help me do what I do and help get more reviews out to you guys. So if you want to join over there, I'll also do monthly craft beer giveaways as well, so you have the opportunity to win yourself a 4-pack of Illinois exclusive craft beer picked out by me. So if you're a fan of a lot of style of beers, I usually bring in some styles that people don't normally look for, but I think it's a pretty fun thing, and I'm starting to do a thing to where I don't tell the patrons what I'm setting them. So that's your first recipient of that's going to be Face Meat. So all 4 of those beers that I pick out, he doesn't even know what he's getting. So if you want to support me, I'm always going to be recommending the best place to do so is the Patreon, because it helps me get more beer in my hands, and that means I can do more reviews, and then I can get more beer out to you guys as well if you join the Patreon. So that's going to be the best way to do so. So if you want to join that, link is in the description as well for that. But other than that, I think that, again, is what I have for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. Thank you everybody on the replays and be watching this as well. And I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers.